And hi, pal. So nice to see you. And I'm glad you could come back for a visit. I'm Robin with Robin and Friends. And last time we had the first little lesson, and today we're going to have lesson number 2, which is talking about your reputation, who you are as a person. And you might remember last week we talked about throw enough paper airplanes and eventually one will fly. And that was a nice lesson. But this week, I wanted to show you one. You have to pour the concrete before you can make an impression. And this idea, and I'll show you with the camera from above, and we're just looking at this where Peaches is going along, and it's all about the foundation. Maybe you were involved when maybe your mom or dad or at the house that you lived in, you had some concrete poured, maybe a sidewalk, or maybe just some pottery or something like that, and you stuck your hand into it and made an impression. Well, that's what this is about. Making your own impression, and that has to do with who you are as a person and the type of artwork that you're going to become known for drawing or painting or doing. And I'm just kind of filling in a little bit here. I wanted to tell you a little story about Peaches. You know, she's kind of a tiny little dog. In fact, I have a picture here, and she's just kind of a tiny little teacup poodle, as I've told you before. I'll just show you here this picture. And there she is jumping. It's not the greatest picture. I don't have a lot of pictures of her, but here she is jumping. I don't know what kind of a treat I was giving her, but it was something. But there I am with my sister Randy behind me, and Peaches is jumping in the air. But Peaches was very, very protective, and protective of the family and of me especially. And we lived for a couple years out on a farm in Iowa, here in the United States. And one day, Peaches was, she would kind of ride with me. When she was little, she'd ride in my coat pocket, and then I would unzip my coat a little bit, and she'd just kind of have her head out, and she'd just ride around with me like that. Well, we had a field right by the house, and there was a fence there, and they had a big group of cattle. There must have been maybe 15 head of cattle. And they were in there with this large, huge bull. And he was just always mean, so we stayed clear, far away from him. But Peaches, for some reason, when we were outside one day, she just jumped out of my coat and she took off after all those cows. Now, she's just tiny. And she just chased them all the way around and around in a big circle, until finally that bull got really angry and it put its head down to the ground, and I thought she was just going to get smushed. But she just came running, and I just saw her. She was just this little white dot, and she came running to the fence, and you won't believe it. She jumped that fence right into my arms, and boy, that bull was mad. He wanted to get her so bad, but she did that just to protect us kids playing outside. So that kind of gives you some idea of the kind of character that Peaches is, or was. Really loved her for that. Yeah, so this is just going to come together nicely. I'm just adding just a little more color to that sidewalk to bring it out more. And with a crayon, I can really do that quickly. I use colored pencils once in a while, but with this one, I just wanted to, for time's sake, I just wanted to get that in so that it looked, and of course I look back and I want to just have it kind of looking consistent all the same. Okay, so that's how that looks. Pretty nice. And so now, I want to show you another picture. We had this one for a poster, and you notice this one's a lot darker, and I'm going to show you this one, and I'm going to show you this one. Do you see the difference? And I'm going to show you with the overhead cam. The red just was way too dark. I really wasn't happy about that at all. And so what I did is just had him tone it back so that it was a lighter red. And I was much happier with that look. Once again, you're kind of thinking, what kind of a style do I want? Something consistent is good, because if, like we've talked about, maybe in the future you want to profit from your artwork in some way, it's going to help you to be marketable, to be able to have someone who's interested in your artwork and that will pay you money for it. You want to make sure that you have a consistent style, something that is a look. When someone sees your work, they say, oh, that's so-and-so's work. I know that person. And that has to do with the big word that I'm going to show you today. And that word is reputation. 10 letters, and I'll show it to you here just for the overhead cam as well. Reputation is a large word, and basically, simply, what it means is our actions and our words, what we say, and our style of art over a long period of time, so that over that amount of time, someone looks back and they say, oh, that's who they are. They have and what do we hear sometimes? That person has a really good reputation. Or sometimes it's the person doesn't have a good reputation, they have a bad reputation. So the same is true in the art world. You can have a very good reputation, not only in the type of art that you do, but the type of artist that you are, the type of person that you are. And that's so very important. And that has a lot to do with what I'm going to show you next, and that is your name. Your name is so very important. That goes along hand in hand with your reputation and who you are as a person. And no one else has your exact name. It may be the same name, but your reputation sets you apart. And I was just going to finish a couple names here. I have most of the red, and I'm going to just fill this out so that I can complete these. And then I'm going to do the coloring later, all the way around the sky and how I do my drawing. But I'm going to just fill this in here and just make sure that we there we go. And we'll take this right through. I always thought this was a pretty name, Sophia. Now, one thing that I wanted to mention here is that because her name is so important, that's kind of how I started out. I would often just draw individuals' names. If somebody got married, or if there was someone who had a new baby, little child. One time I was on an airplane, and there was a couple that had a little boy, and he was so cute. And they had his nickname, Tugboat. And I often wonder how that little boy is doing now. But I drew a little tugboat drawing just like this. It was all black and white, but it turned out really nice, and they appreciated that. Now, there's Sophia. And then we'll do the rest of the coloring a little later. And here's another name, Caleb. Another nice name. What I was going to tell you is this. When you send in drawings, when you send me a letter, you want to make sure you send your address. Now, make sure you get permission, as I always like to encourage you to do. Make sure you get permission to send your name and your address, and I'll protect those. But that will allow me to send, if you're picked and you're the winner, I just basically go through all the drawings and letters, and I will just randomly pick someone and draw a original of your name. So then you'll have an original, not only Pete and Peaches, but something that you can be proud of, which is your name, just like this. And for some reason, it sounds like a campground around here to me. We've had, in this art studio, a little cricket, and I think I'm going to start putting him to work. Maybe have him take scissors and cut some pieces of paper up for me, or do something with him. That little cricket. I think I saw a little bed or a little cot over there with some snacks he had. Anyway, it kind of sounds nice to me in a way. Reminds me of, we go up to Wisconsin once in a while here in the United States to take a vacation once in a while. And you hear crickets all the time. It's a very peaceful sound. I don't know why right now, but it doesn't sound very peaceful to me. So how about that? So now we've got that drawing, and Caleb and Sophia are all close to getting ready. That's one of the biggest pieces of work that I do, is sketching it out and then just drawing that in. Now, once again, talking about that word, remember I had it, reputation. How do you get a reputation? Well, sometimes we have to use our imagination, our creativity, and we say, what am I going to do? I can reach out and try to become better known, maybe to my classmates, my family, my friends. And here is something that I did, and this is about, believe it or not, 22 years ago. This is October 27th. It was a Friday, 1995. And I'm going to hold this up, and hopefully you can see that. And there's a picture and the newspaper. It's a local newspaper. Now, your local newspaper often will be interested in artists like you. And you can really get in with them, talk with them, find someone who's a writer who can write an article about you. They ask you questions about how you started out your art, maybe some details, and they might even show a sampling. Now, here I have some sketchbooks and things I'm doing in this black and white picture that they have, and I think you might be able to see that from above with the overhead cam as well. And notice Pete and Peaches. They're kind of crude. Oh my, they're not the greatest drawing, but you know what? That's the start, right? As we go along, we don't want to be discouraged. That was what I was wanting to get the word out on, was local artist sends positive greetings in designs. So I started to come up with different greeting cards that I sold locally in some shops here in Canton, Illinois. And then we expanded out to some catalogs, and I'll tell you that story at another time. I think you'll like it. Something else that worked out very well for me is something that I think you can do as well, and that is think about companies that might be interested in your type of art. Now, this picture, you are ultimately in charge of shaping you, and that's just the pen and ink, right? And then I fill that in, and I was kind of wanting to make it look like granite, okay? Like stone. And he's chiseling there. He's got a hammer and a chisel, Pete. Okay, so that's how that started out. Now, if you can see that, now let me show you the finished product. Look at this. This is in a catalog, and the name of the company was Successories. And You are ultimately in charge of shaping you. Now, this company was located up by Aurora, Illinois, close to Chicago, and now they're down in Boca Raton, Florida. But when they were in Chicago, I just said, I really want to come up and visit. And I thought my cartoons could fit in with what you're doing. And that's what I try to do, was make the connection, the artist to the company, to the store. And that's exactly how it came about. And they were interested. One thing that I think I'd change if I were to do it all over again, if you notice in these pictures, there's some pretty unusual colors. And I wasn't really, there's one that's called Think Big. It's hard to surf on a toothpick. And it was a good saying. And I thought the colors were pretty good for the water, the sand, and the Think Big in red. So that, I was happy with that one. But a couple of them, I just didn't like the color combination that they used. So their artists got involved with coloring my artwork. So you have to kind of figure out, is that something that I wouldn't mind? Is that something that I want to do? Those are decisions that you'll have to make in the future. So that just gives you an idea. Here toward the end, I wanted to show you this. This is one that is an original that I'm going to be sending out to individuals once in a while. One of you artists there that's watching, you might think about it this way. I will, wherever I travel, I bring these pieces of paper with me. It's a nice poster board. And I've been doing this for 25 years or more. And I draw pictures of Pete and Peaches in black and white ink. And then I just give those away. And I always date them. Remember, the date is so important because it helps you see your progress of your work over time. Remember that newspaper, 1995, and now here, take a look. I'll put them together. There's Pete and Peaches years ago, and here they are today. And see the difference in them? So, and maybe I can show that for you a little better too. You can see that. So they change quite a bit. Kind of the same shapes, but I do these black and white drawings, and then about 1 in 100, I do a red balloon special that it says right on there. And then I can put your name right at the bottom and a message to you as a friend and artist friend of mine. So keep those letters and drawings coming my way. Remember this one? I showed this to you, a couple visits back. And this is the one where I had the cardboard box on the paper airplane. Now look at where I drew this. This is a sketch pad of mine, and it's 2005. And I'll show it to you here. And there it is. So that is an idea I've had for a long, long time. And here I was kind of using some colored pencil, some pen and ink over here, and just kind of experimenting. So that's how the drawing was coming together. But you see, you don't have to just have an idea and act on it just exactly right now. It could be something that lays in a drawer or just in a sketchbook for a time, and then you act on it later. Now I'm going to show you one more positive drawing. It's a poster, and I'll just have you take a look at that real quick. And then I'm going to show it to you here. And it says, build brick houses for your dreams, wood houses for your worries, and straw ones for your fears. So it's kind of like, you remember the 3 little pigs and their brick house, wood house, and straw house. I just did a little play on those words. So it's build brick houses for your dreams, wood houses for your worries, and straw ones for your fears. Now, I ran this cartoon by a friend of mine. His name is Ken Clubb, and I'm going to show you some of his work in the future as well, and hopefully he'll come in and visit as one of our friends here. But until that time, I showed him this, and we were working on a little kid's book. I think it was for a eye doctor. Glasses Company. And when we were looking at this, he says, oh, I'd like to draw 3 of the houses, the brick house and the wood house and the straw house. Now, let me show you. After I take a look at his work, I'm like, I better just quit doing drawing. Here's the brick house. Can you see it? Well, there we go. There's the brick house. Here's the wood house. And here's the straw house. There it is. Man, isn't he great at drawing? He is just so talented. So we'll have to get him on the show. Well, we've come to the point where we look in the idea box and I'm still looking forward to a time when I can get some more pet drawings for the back post. We still have Riley up there, and I'd love to see your picture hanging there soon. Let's see, lesson number 2, draw a brick, wood, or straw house, or all 3. And the prize is going to be, I'm going to draw your name, just as I mentioned. Again, make sure you get permission to send a copy of your artwork. It's always important. And that would be really great. And I'm going to show you those pictures one more time. Here's the straw one. And here's the wood one. Isn't that just beautiful? I want to live in this house. So you can use pen, you can use pencil, crayon. If you have the permission to use markers, that's great. Paint, whatever you want to. You can email those drawings or that artwork as well to me, and we'll show you how you can do that right away at the end of the show. So thanks again for stopping by. I hope you had a nice visit. I sure did, and I look forward to hearing from you. Thanks again for coming by.